Well, there we have it, guys. France versus South Africa. Not the game I thought we were going to be seeing, but a game I'm very glad we got to see. 4 points in it, 2 red cards, 1 yellow card. So much to go over. What a fantastic game for me as a neutral. I can only imagine what it was like if you're a French or a South African subscriber. This game must have been an absolute nail-biter. If you're new to the channel, what we do in these review videos is, of course, we will be going over the actions that happened in the first half, the scores, the highlights, some stats, my own personal thoughts on stuff, and then afterwards we'll move on to talk about the second half. If you enjoy this sort of video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Now this game, wow, did this go in all sorts of different directions. So just before the game started, we did find out that Jasper Wiese wasn't going to be taken apart. Quagga Smith came in as the replacement number 8, so already a bit of shifts up for the South African team. We thought maybe it will affect South Africa, maybe it won't, but I don't think we were expecting the start that we got to have to this game. France really taking it from the off. France started out, got their penalty within the first minute. Faf de Klerk, he had said in a couple of interviews, if he could get a shot on Dupont, he was going to make it. He was going to make it happen. We had that first minute penalty, though, offside at the ruck. Too eager to get to Dupont. Bit too much offside, so France take an early 3-point lead through the boot of Ramos. There was a very exciting opening 10 minutes. Both teams sort of taking turns, quite an open game, a lot of running. What I was really hoping we got to see, I didn't want it to be one of these games where they just exchange 3 points. It was nice to see just both teams getting involved. Colby, RANCE, Ramos, Ntamack, all of them just running all over the place, making really big carry meters each. Really nice to see. Now, at 12 minutes, we had a big turning point in the game. Pieter-Steph du Toit getting his red card, head-on-head contact. Now, I like to weigh in on these sort of card decisions. Was it right? Was it wrong? I was really worried this decision was going to ruin the game, in all honesty. It's one of those decisions so early in a game where you see it, it's like, oh, we got the red card, now we're in desperate trouble. However, it didn't mess up the game. It actually made it way more interesting because South Africa really bounced from it. But in terms of the actual decision, for me, I'd agree with that was a red card. I don't know what he was really doing at that point. I think there was so much aggression from both teams, just wanting to be physical. He went in. There's no one to clear out. There's a player not affecting the ball in any way. He went in, dived headfirst, head-on-head contact, and the letter of the law is that's just a red card. A bit of a silly decision. He just step out of that, and I think he knew it as well. We saw him on the bench, head in his hands. He was like, I know. So apparently his first ever card at international. What a time to have a card, though. So did put the man down. Jonathan Dante also had to go off. We saw Makalu come onto the wing. Someone did actually mention in a couple of videos ago that Makalu is perfectly capable of playing on the wing. And I did say, I really hope we get to see that at some point. This was the game to see it. I thought he did pretty well. Mofana moves into that centre channel now. Now, they didn't go for the kick on this one, but there was a kick that came in the 17th minute. This was a tackle off the ball from South Africa. So France took another 3-point advantage there. So 6-0 to France at this point. And then in the 20th minute, we got the first try of the game. Cyril Bay getting in there over the try line. France on a really nice break down the wing from Makalu. He's only been on for about 3 or 4 minutes now. Makes a really nice break. RANCE comes over with a massive cover tackle. 9 phases go through, and eventually Cyril Bay is the man who gets to crash over, stretches out, gets that ball over the try line, and a successful conversion from Ramos sees that scoreline. France 13, South Africa 0. And at this point, I thought, oh no, the game's about to sort of go over the top now. It's just going to be score after score. Really difficult to defend with 14 players. But South Africa really turned up to this one. I was very impressed with the way they managed the game, considering they're a man down. Actually reminded me a lot of the game we saw between France and Australia when Betty got his red card. It really sort of gels the team together. You've got to put in the work. It's already a big game. You've just got to work that much harder. South Africa got 3 points back just 5 minutes later. Jolange coming in, entering at the side of the maul. Not really necessary. Where we had Cheslin Colby step up now. Colby's kicking last week. Which we just say poor, not really there at all. And we had a team last week against Ireland that basically no kicker seemingly could get to the post. And this week we had 3 different ones, all doing a great job. So Colby managed to get that one, drawing the scoreboard a little bit closer. And then France's discipline just sort of fell off a little bit towards the end of this first half. We had another couple of compound penalties, Aldrit being offside too many times. South Africa kicked it to corner, went for that driving maul. It'd been pretty even all game. No team really taking the big advantage yet. And Khaleesi breaks off from the back and dives over the line away from everyone. Absolutely brilliant try from him. Colby gets that successful conversion to bring the score back to 13-10, but France do manage to get one penalty just before the end of the half. South Africa not rolling away after a tackle. So we went in at halftime 16 points to 10. I was pretty impressed with South Africa keeping the scoreline within 6 at this point. I was really thinking eventually it would begin to impact the team being that extra man down. Every player's got to make more tackles. Every player's got to run those extra meters. In terms of halftime notes, I just said it's a great game so far. Very open, lots of running play. Red card could have ruined it, but South Africa are reacting very well. Was a bit worried about the energy levels of the players. But one thing that was going alongside this was a couple of French injuries in this first half. A lot of French players going off with different injuries. We saw Cyril Bay go off, Dante, of course, with that head injury. Flamon also came off as well. So at the same time, although you're a man down, the other team is having to put all these substitutions on very early into a game, and then of course they have to play the whole game. There's no one to replace them, so energy levels might have been saved for them a little bit later there. I said, but we'll wait to the second half to see how that gets on. South Africa are winning the scrum and the maul game by the end of that first half, and France feel like they're winning the kicking and the aerial battle. And the game was pretty even, to be fair. Number of penalties, 7-6, France to South Africa. Possession, 44 to France, 56 to South Africa. So even with that man down, they are keeping the ball in hand more, which is probably the way to go. On to the second half then. And I really thought what we were going to begin to see is France trying to hold on to the ball more, span it out wide a bit more, try and get those South African players to tire out of it. But they really didn't. They sort of just went through the motions. They had a game plan. They wanted to stick to it. South Africa did get on the board first, though, in the second half. France went straight off feet in the ruck. Colby managed to convert that one, drawing them back within 3 points. France 16, South Africa 13, but France extended that straight back out 2 minutes later. South Africa in at the side of the maul, got that 3 points back. Now South Africa go on the charge. They're running with the advantage in hand. They could go for the 3 points. They'll see how it goes. They go for a big crossfield kick. Cheslin Colby jumps in the air, and we see Dupont clear out his legs from underneath him, tackle in the air, and Cheslin Colby lands quite nastily actually on his sort of neck and head and top of shoulders. A real nasty landing. Now, red card for Dupont. Yeah, I think as well. I think both red cards in this game. I thought Wayne Barnes actually went through the steps pretty nicely and how he was organising it. I think Dupont actually had his eyes on the ball an awful lot, all the way there. I don't think he was aiming to take him out completely, but you have to be aware that someone else is going to be in the air. Someone else is going to compete for it. You have to be aware of the returns. You can't just clear out someone's legs from under them, topple them over. Luckily, Colby was okay, because it did look like that was a horrendous fall for him. But it did mean that South Africa then had the man advantage regained. They were back where they were. They went to the corner. Big call here. They were only a couple of points down. Maybe the 3 points was the way to go. They chose not to. We had a couple of reloads of penalties at the maul and kick back to the corner and do that. But eventually a try did come in for RANCE on that wing. We had South Africa go from the maul, switching it one way. Faf de Klerk passes it back the other way, and we see RANCE go in the corner. Now, with Colby off, of course, someone else has to take kicking duties, so we stand there waiting for Valemsa, and no, up comes Faf de Klerk. Faf de Klerk not there last week to do kicking duty, so he decided to take over this week. An absolutely massive kick from the wing. Fantastic kick, and manages to convert it. So, for the first time in the entire game, at 50 minutes, South Africa managed to gain the lead. And we begin to feel the pace of the game change a little bit. Crowds getting a bit quieter. France don't necessarily seem quite as organised as they were before. Space is beginning to open up. We're seeing those South Africans finding different room and stuff. It's getting a really exciting game. South Africa managed to extend their lead out. Cameron Woki is picked for being offside. South Africa extend out to 4 points. France close it back up, holding it together for South Africa being offside. So when we get in towards the 60-minute marker, there is 1 point difference. It's pretty incredible. Now, one area that South Africa are winning is the defensive battle. Now, dominant tackles at this point, 60 minutes into the game, the number of dominant tackles being made and how physical this game was. France have made 0. And that's not a lot. 0 dominant tackles compared to South Africa's 7. It's a big impact. It sort of shows just how physical it was in that breakdown situation. South Africa did manage to extend the lead out a little bit. Makalu actually had a really nice break for France. Got right down the wing, cut back inside, making good ground. Was hit by RANCE. Makalu stands back up and carries on running. And Wayne Barnes blew this one for him not releasing the ball when he was tackled. Oh, I think this was harsh. I feel like he wasn't actually held in that tackle. I think that was quite a lax tackle. I don't really know why he sort of dismissed it. It looked like they showed it on the big screen. They just didn't want to review that one, apparently, maybe because the penalty was already called. So South Africa managed to extend that lead, but at this point, Faf de Klerk has gone off for Cobus Reinach to come on. So who steps up? Willemse. We're on to kicker number 3. They managed to extend that lead out. They go ahead by 4. And France now have a big game to make up. Now, there is the opportunity for France to come back into this game. They do have a couple of penalty opportunities up until the end of the game. They don't go for the posts at this point. They are quite a few points down. They want that try to get back in it. They go on a big surging maul. It is brought down illegally by Fori, so he gets his yellow card in the game. And eventually it does pan out for them. France constantly kicking to the corner, recycle, go for the corner again. South Africa defence holding out extremely well, including managing to steal one of the lineouts on the 5-metre line. But eventually France use the pressure. They get over that line for Falatea to score his try. The conversion was missed by Ramos. So we went into this point, France 27, South Africa 26 with 6 minutes left on the clock. Super tense. Both teams have to be absolutely squeaky clean. But unfortunately, it was South Africa that finally conceded. The France penalty at the scrum, those cards just beginning to make an impact now. Missing too many forwards from that scrum pack. Diolende's in the scrum. They're just trying to do anything to hold it out. France go for the big surge, get the penalty, and they go for the post, converting that one successfully, taking France to that final scoreline of 30 points to 26. And they just managed to hold out the game, doing good game management, and kick the ball dead. Bit of a boring end to the world of rugby, but it happens in so many games. That is how it is. So full-time results, France 30, South Africa 26. This is a game that we might absolutely be seeing in the World Cup, whether quarterfinals or semi-finals potentially. Could be a really big game. I actually did a poll before the game started today to see what game you guys were most excited for, and this one won by a landslide. It absolutely did not disappoint. Both teams playing extremely well, especially both considering the red card. Such an early red card for South Africa, massive hindrance in that game. France losing their captain, especially someone like Dupont, who was having a really good game. Big impacts in this game. So final stats then. Possession, France 45, South Africa 55. Lineouts, 10 out of 11 for France, 15 out of 17 for South Africa, both trying really hard on those lineouts. Turnovers, 5 to France, 4 to South Africa. Penalties, 10 to 12. Red cards, 1 to 1. These two sides so even in this game. What a fantastic game it was to watch. But of course, guys, I always like to hear what you guys have to say about this game, so do drop it down in the comment section. If you've enjoyed this one today, remember to leave it a like and make sure you are subscribed, because we've got Scotland versus New Zealand going on tomorrow, so that should be a fun game to do some coverage for as well. I hope you've all enjoyed this one today, guys. I will see you all next time. Bye bye.